Okay, I can already see we have about six people in the room. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday evening. We really appreciate that. You can also view us, of course, directly in the Riverside room, but also on the YouTube channel. Probably happy to share the YouTube channel link. You can join us there. But we'll take a couple of minutes before we get started. Wait for a couple of minutes. We will wait for a few minutes. I see seven people joining so far, Aniket. Let's give it a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. Let me know, Malti, if there's a background noise from my side. There is a small event that's going on, so
In the apartment? No, no, it's fine.
okay.
Uh, Folks on the call, are you guys able to hear us clearly? If you could just put in a yes or a all good, something like that, that will help us. Okay, thank you, Pramod. I've just shared the YouTube live link. Happy to also share the LinkedIn live link while we wait for a few more folks to join in. Okay, I don't know, some reason I don't see the LinkedIn live happening. Um, so we are at 7:03. Probably we can get going, Aniket. Okay, hey Swati.
Yeah, yes,
Hey
Malti.
Malti.
You want to get started, Malti, or Swati is going to start?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anyway, we start with the introduction. So I think Swati, you want to kind of just get started, just
Sure,
set the
sure, yes.
context.
Okay. Yes. Hi everyone. Welcome to another enriching session with this team. And today's topic is all about how to crack your next AI PM opportunity. Your next PM opportunity will be having an AI element to it anyhow. So it's right now it's being worded AI PM, but yeah, eventually it's just be product management. So we'll be talking all about how things are changing in this landscape for the product role and how we're perceiving different job roles come up, how to prepare for it. So all of that is what we'll be discussing. Again, yeah, as I said, this team with Malti, Aniket, and I, we run a AI product management cohort together. So Pramod, he was a participant in the last cohort. So hi Pramod, good to see you here. And last two cohorts, we did not have this topic because we were not seeing as many AI product management opportunities out there. But as I said, like now in the market, all of the opportunities are AI product management opportunities, right? So how to like look at it from an interview lens is what we'll discuss. Malti, do you want to move to the next this thing? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So quick agenda. We'll do in quick intros of the three of us. Then we'll talk about just quickly about the cohort and what all like what you can expect in terms of it starting next weekend. Then we'll dive right into the topic at hand. How do you decode AIPM role? What top companies are looking for? Then we'll look at the curriculum for our cohort in terms of what we learn and how it enables you to become a AI product manager. Um, then the AIPM interview deep dive. We'll look at like example case studies for each of these um, types of interviews for a PM role, and then interview strategies and tips. And then yeah, we'll be open for Q&A. You can keep dropping your Q&A throughout. But yeah, with that, Malti, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I think I can keep it very quick and brief. I think this is our third batch, and probably many of you folks are from our community, so I'm assuming you would know us. But yeah, I come with about 25 plus years of experience now. 24, it's no more 24 now, it's 25. Worked in large enterprise organizations like SAP, Intuit, PayPal, led large teams. And of course, last 3 years has been more a role of a product strategist and a product advisor for multiple startups. And as we all are evolving, I am also not untouched by it. So have been experimenting with a few AI deep tech startups in the last couple of years, building some AI products, and have been into teaching AI PM related course for the last year and a half now, and super excited about the third batch we are launching along with Swati and Aniket. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, I'll go maybe next. Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you for taking out time and joining this discussion. I am Aniket. I have around 14 years of experience, mostly on the technical side, building AI, ML, and now Gen AI products. So I worked in a couple of organizations. My current organization is a startup. Before that, I also worked with PayPal, and before that, Fidelity Investments and Genpact. So yeah, so that's on the professional side. I have been a hands-on PM. Starting, I was a data scientist, then moved to AI product management, and now Gen AI product management. On the teaching side, I'm collaborating with Malti. I think yeah, 1.5 years on the Gen AI side, working along this again as Malti mentioned, is a third batch where I'll also be working as one of the mentors of AI PM. But before that, I was also a data science mentors at a couple of edtech platforms like IIT Guwahati as well as Great Learning. So yeah, looking forward for this third batch. And yeah, thank you so much, Malti and Swati, for the collaboration.
Okay. Hi guys. Quick intro. So I'm Swati Avasti. Currently, like most of my time is spent in building the Women in Product India community. We're also building a product which is an end-to-end AI career suite, which probably I can share when we connect during any events or anything. But yeah, I have about 11 years of experience, and my first product as a product manager was an AI product in the traditional sense. And that was like the first AI product for Dell, where I was working for. So help them build that like the AI ML models, proprietary models that they had on the edge. So that was my foray into AI, and like obviously got to understand that it is going to be big in the future. So have been very tuned in into the AI scene since like 2018ish. And at this point, yeah, like working with a lot of product leaders and startups who are building AI products, so understanding the landscape changing globally. I've worked across like US, UK, and India. Back to India now, so have like a really global overview and try to like be abreast in that sense of what's happening globally, right? Also run a podcast called AI for India, and where we host a lot of founders who are building like unique products in AI. And with this, for these cohorts, I am um, partnering with Malti and Aniket, as they have mentioned before. And it's been really, really enriching in the sense that I'm also able to learn a lot, and like implement that in the products that I am building. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Excited to discuss more ahead. Malti, do you want to go next? Okay. So yeah, curtain raiser 2. We've done like a MCP curtain raiser 2 weeks ago. But yeah, today we'll also just give a brief overview of what the cohorts entail. So we've had past two cohorts, very global cohorts. We've had people join from across India and the globe. So learning has been 20 plus hours with each cohort. With the upcoming cohort, it's going to be even more because we're including like the interview piece, helping our participants be ready in terms of being interview ready and build out a capstone project that they can probably showcase, right, in their resumes. And then yeah, we discuss and build on a lot of industry and personal use cases. We've enabled 50 plus projects, hands-on projects in the past cohorts. And then yeah, there is a private community of product professionals and leaders who join the cohort, for them to sort of engage with each other and share learnings, and where we share a lot of resources as well. Okay, these are some of the testimonials from like past leaders who joined, directors from Swiggy, Swiss Re, Western Union, ICIMS. There are others like from Google, etc., which are not mentioned here. But yeah, really great leaders who've joined us. This is the overview in terms of how the timeline looks. So we start on 30th August, next Saturday. Duration is 3 weekends, 5 sessions that are hands-on building. If you see on the right, there are 5 sessions. Where it says regular session, I wouldn't say they are like regular sessions at all. They are very valuable sessions where we are like taking up a lot of projects that we're building hands-on. And then we have, as I said, 3 more extra sessions that we are adding for resume sampling and interview prep, and then capstone project building, right? So that way it's increasing. So here we should say maybe like 6 7 sessions now. And then yeah, timing is to be like global time friendly, 6 to 10 p.m. We have a dinner break in between. And the sessions are online. Weekend learning, the recordings go out, right, like the next day morning. And then there is a capstone project, the office hours during the weekdays, that you can, like, if you have want to look at the recordings, catch up. If you've not been able to attend a particular session, you can do that. And yeah, the price here is mentioned is 29,999. Um, so yeah, just want to mention that. Yeah, cool. Now, yeah, let's dive into the topic at hand today. Aniket, will hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Swati. Okay, so let's now so there are so just to set the context here about this particular part, right? So there are two parts to it. One, in the part one, we are decoding the AI PM role. So what do we mean by that is we've actually collated a couple of JDs. There are a lot of, like, I'll show you my LinkedIn profile. There are lots of JDs that are there, or companies, startups and big firms who are looking for AI product managers. So what do they look for in terms of, you can say, preferred qualifications, as well as the skill set, the toolkit that they need for a PM to have, for the applications that they are expecting, to receive. And it matters because there are certain expectations these companies have in terms of, it could be hands-on tools, the AI, tools that recently we have seen in the past couple of months, I would say, especially the agentic AI tools. And then there are some foundational capabilities the PM should have. For example, understanding of LLMs, right? So how the LLMs work, the different frameworks of LLMs. How does the LLMs get architectured in your product? How do you design the solution? So from that perspective, these companies are looking for foundational capabilities also, and this goes back to all the way to the traditional ML capabilities to AI capabilities. And now with AI, we so far we have been using, like, deep learning models. Now we have Gen AI, and now recently in the past couple of months we have been into agentic AI. So the idea is that we'll go through a couple of JDs. We'll see that, like, what are the skills tools required to become an AI PM in the industry. And then the second part, so this is the first part. The second part will be that, if you, let's say, your resume gets shortlisted, you as Swati already showed in the curriculum of the course, and the schedule, there is a session on the resumes. Like we help you to build your resume in terms of skills, projects, how to add. There's a capstone project that we cover. Those that part will also be added in the resume. And based on that, if your resume gets shortlisted, what kind of questions are expected, right? So we already, so hopefully if you're coming from programming, sorry, product background, you would already know about these. There are product sense questions, there are technical questions, there are behavioral questions. We use different frameworks to answer those questions. Now AIPM is slightly different. In all those frameworks there is an AI angle to it. How do you understand that AI, right? So especially the questions will be based on that. We'll go through a couple of questions, the sample questions that we have collated. Again, these are the real world experiences in terms of the questions have been asked to, we have previous PMs who have got into these companies. So we have collated the data from them. So it's an actual, this is kind of an actual questions, you can say. And then again, the idea is not to give you a cookbook for that, but we have a repository, towards the course, end of the course, we can share with you to go through those questions, to be prepared, as the way you see a lot of questions are available. So this is how we have we have part one and part two structure for this AIPM. In between we'll also talk about the overlap that we have, from the expectation these companies have, as well as the course curriculum that we have. So we'll discuss about like how we are covering, so that you are actually an AIPM ready candidate in the market. So that's the whole idea. um, with that, you can see that um, I will I'll minimize the screen as well. Just one second. Do you Are you guys able to see the content there on the left hand side? Let me know if you need to zoom in. I mean, you want me to zoom in that?
I
You
think
can
this
see
is better, Aniket.
zoom in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So you can see that I have attached the screenshot of two JDs. I'll go to the LinkedIn as well. These are like real time, data. So you can see 4 days ago, this product manager AIML JD job description published by Tiger Analytics. You can see that what are the key responsibilities, product vision, roadmap, define the own product vision and roadmap. This is basically a strategy part the PM plays, especially the AI PM plays the role. Use case identification is very important. How do you understand how the problem statement of customers, work with stakeholders, and then convert that problem statement into an AI problem statement, right? So what data do you need? How do you understand, okay, is this somewhere where I need to use Gen AI or AI or machine learning, traditional machine learning, or typical LLMs, right? So those design, test, and the launching strategy of the product is something you need to be responsible for, right? And then cross functional leadership, that's again the fundamental responsibility of a product manager, right? Customer first thinking. And you can see market awareness, stay on the top of Gen AI trends, right? How do you keep yourself up with the currently highly competitive space now it has become, like, but it's updating a lot, right? So Gen AI trends, how do you keep up with the new technologies, new models that are coming, new products that are being launched using the AI, competitive products, right? So difference between difference between LLMs. There are LLMs, if you see recently, they're becoming very specific, which means that they're becoming specialized, right? So you can say that, like, let's say Claude is pivoting towards a coding, the best model for coding, versus Chat GPT is more generic, more a back end of let's say a chatbot, how to best way to respond to a customer, right? In that backend, Chat GPT or GPT-5, let's say, model works better, right? So those things we need to read and understand, and that's the expectation, or that's the role that a PM has to play, right? What do they expect in terms of skill set, right? So you can say hands-on understanding of generative AI. So what do you mean by hands-on understanding of Gen AI? Which means that how you, again, you don't need to code to become a I mean, this is not an engineering requirement. You don't need to code that, but you need to understand, like if you talk about LLMs, especially Gen AI, right? How does that work, right? You should be able to explain to the customer, and especially the use case fitment, right? So any LLM, any Gen AI use case, is it really that AI required in that particular use case, or we can work without AI, right? A little bit of prompt engineering. Again, you don't need to be an expert in prompt engineering, because that's again engineer's role. But a basic understanding of prompt engineering. So again, if I go talk about prompt engineering, so prompt engineering is pretty detailed in terms of like there are prompt engineering done by software engineers who are, we can call it system prompting or system engineering, versus there is a prompt that is a user prompt. The way you interact with the APIs of OpenAI, let's say Claude, that's a user prompt engineering. So here for product manager, the expectation is to be good at user prompt engineering, right? Then there are different frameworks of AI or Gen AI. There could be fine tuning, there could be RAG. You can see all this is expected from an AI PM, right? And the rest skills are the same: the analytical thinking, storytelling skills, etc. So this was like one JD where 7 to 12 years of experience professional was expected to have these skills. Now, if I talk about the another JD, again, I'll not go into too much detail, but I can high level talk about that. Hopefully, you're able to see the content. Let me just scroll right. Very quickly, you can see now demonstrate success working with AI, machine learning, LLMs, NLP. NLP is a natural language processing. This is basically the fundamental technology behind generative AI, right? Or behind LLMs. Solid understanding of AI ML product development lifecycle. So again, we know about the product development lifecycle, how the AI ML product is different from a normal product that we have, a regular product that we have, or software product that we have, right? Again, RAG, we are talking about here agentic workflows, right? What do we mean by agentic workflows versus, let's say, traditional workflows that we have been automating so far? There is an expectation of vector databases, agentic flows, right? And how do they integrate with API, etc. So that is the expectation from a product manager who is a generative AI slash AIML product manager, right? With a 7 to 9 years of experience. And there are lots of other JDs you can see. I have shared the links also here, but I can go through a couple of them. Maybe let me pick up the one of the famous, like one of the very good product companies, ServiceNow. You can see that staff inbound product manager generative AI. It's a 19 hours ago, JD published. And what do they expect? Very quickly, if I go, um, what you will do in this role: build a foundational AI product that will define the landscape of enterprise AI, agentic AI tools for ServiceNow, collaborate with the data scientist, machine learning team, develop AI and LLM capabilities, right? And to what do they need from the qualification point of view? You can see that experience in this may include using AI powered tools, automating workflows, analyzing AI driven insights, exploring AI's potential impact on the function or industry, right? SaaS product, because they are SaaS companies, so of course they're expecting some SaaS experience, but as a product manager, right? You can see end-to-end ML solution, AI ML solution is expected. You can have, and then if you have exposure to LLM ops, which is basically meaning LLM operations ecosystem, that will be a plus, right? So this is product manager JD from ServiceNow. I would like to quickly show you one of the JD from Microsoft as well. Yeah, this is Microsoft Senior Product Manager. You can see, and this Senior Product Manager Copilot. You can see what they're expecting in terms of the skills. Yeah. So demonstrate experience shipping AI applications and agents such as conversational UI, UX, agentic frameworks, GPT copilot solutions, right? Experience with generative AI, cloud services architecture, other technical areas, right? And again, commercial SaaS offering. So they are also looking for a B2B SaaS product manager, right? And the responsibilities that you'll be working on with Microsoft AI platform, which they are building, the agentic AI platform. Similar JDs you can find at Salesforce. They have a product called Agent Force, in which all the agents are being built in the sales side, right? There are companies on the marketing side. So for the AI product manager, there is a backend, product. Yeah, I mean, the products, AI products are built for the backend services, and then the front end services, right? So backend services meaning that all the existing workflows that are there internal to the company are being automated using AI. Front end meaning that there are some vertical startups, right? So let's say some startup who is working on the legal solution, some startup who is working on maybe in the CRM space, customer experience space, how to automate that, the end to end again workflow, in that space, customer experience space, right? What AI tools will be using there? So for both, AI is being leveraged for both, like companies who are building vertical products as well as the horizontal products which are there within the company, right? So that is the expectation of a product manager having those skills, AI, ML, and generative AI. Now we'll talk about the framework of our course, the coursework, and how does that overlap with these skills, like what exactly we are covering in the course, so that it makes you eligible in the market for the AIPM role. But any questions, Malti? Do you want to take questions now, or we want to take the questions later?
Yeah, I don't see any questions so far. Guys who are on the call, if you have any questions, especially for the skill set transition, feel free to put it in the chat. After this section, once I just take through the course outline, the next thing we will talk about is organizing these skills that we looked at, what the companies are expecting, and how what are the kind of questions that may come in as part of the conversation. So as of now, I don't see any questions,
Okay,
Aniket.
I'll move
Maybe we
forward.
can go to the this thing course. So we'll like quickly look at how you kind of looked at there are new age skills that we need in order to succeed as an AI product manager. So how kind of just mapping to the skills that we saw, the new age skills which are required for doing the AIPM versus what is that we are offering in our course. We actually start with a very fun, this is kind of a very I would say blend of both the technical skills which are a PM is expected to know in order to be able to build these AI products, to work along with data scientists and ML engineers. And at the same time, you need to have that business acumen in order to say that what are the new ways of me to evaluate whether this is really an AI use case or not. Do we have the right kind of mature technology? What is the error of doing this? So we kind of cover up in our for week one these aspects where we talk about what are the roles and responsibilities of a new age PM, AI PM. We speak about how do you analyze AI use cases. We talk about, we start to build. Now, I think one of the things, and we all are hearing this, which is basically vibe coding, vibe experimentations. So that means a PM is expected to be completely in control of, at least in the 0 to 1 stage, thrashing out their ideas to say that can we do quick prototyping, will it work? So that's what we cover as part of week one, where we kind of get you acquainted to a tool like Lovable and Motif. And if I have to say, out of these 18-20 hour of course that we do, pretty much I would say close to 12 to 14 hours will be hands-on, where you'll be actually be building tools, right? If we go on to week two, Aniket, the next slide, week two is where we kind of go into the more details. So see, again, when you, in the last two batches, what we have seen is that people come with a very diverse kind of understanding of AIML. Some of them are just starting their journey. Some of them are fairly advanced. Some of them are doing things, based on what they have picked up from YouTube or from their communities or based on the work that they're doing at their organizations. So what we try to do is that we try to give you with resources so that you have a head start. In terms of understanding the nuances of what is a machine learning, what is a Gen AI, the technology part of it. Where we kind of hammer down is leveraging those self-based resource learning that you have done. We kind of go more deeper in terms of understanding, okay, what is RAG, what are the techniques within RAG, like whether it is chunking, whether it is retrieval, augmentation. And then based on that theory learning, we take you through leveraging tools like Cursor, LangChain. We kind of take you through building towards a RAG, RAG-based AI product, where we actually take you through that, the nuances of what are the underlying foundations and how do you go build about it. The next thing that we do is basically some of the things which you would have seen is what are the new age, you know, UX, for example, explainability, trust, error, because this is such a stochastic model. So how do you handle user experience for a AI product? That is something. How do you build feedback loops? Because that is very, very important that you gather the feedback from your users that how is your model doing. Those are the aspects which we cover as part of week two. If we may go to the next slide, in week three is where we kind of go more details in terms of agent creation. So before that, we were of course doing RAG-based things with Cursor. In this, we also introduce you to NA10, where you kind of develop your, first agent. And in this particular course, in fact, what we are incrementally doing is that you will be also be learning about MCP, the Model Context Protocol, and you will be learning about multi-agent collaboration. And the most important part, again, I would say that a PM needs to know is that how do you go about doing the evaluation, what are the new age success metrics for an AI product, Now you suddenly start talking about relevancy, you start talking about coherence, you start talking about ethical, start talking about mitigating bias, you start talking about precision. What does these mean, and what is in context of your product? And of course, the most important thing, the cost benefit analysis or the ROI of an AI project. So those are the things that we do in week 3. And if we go on to the next slide, where we move on to the capstone project. So here you can see pretty much in every class we are doing projects, use cases, and we would definitely want you to apply these learnings that you're doing, into a very production ready kind of a environment, right? Aniket, do you want to add something here?
Yeah, just one point. So if you see all the topics which Malti is covering here, guys, all this is, if you tie this back to the JDs, right? So we have designed in such a way that it's actually relevant, and there's a significant amount of overlap, right? So of course, like there could be, those were the JDs that were recommended to me. I am a technical side of, let's say, of AIPM. There could be a person who is in the GTM side, right? So we're covering the holistic picture here. Like you have things which are technical, foundational, or foundational methods to or frameworks of LLMs. Then we move to agentic AI, right? That was on the technical side. But what Malti is talking about, also the UX side, the go to market side, those are also areas we are covering in the course, so that it actually overlaps the complete AIPM role that are there in the markets, a different type
Correct.
of AIPM roles also. Yeah.
Correct. And if you go to the next slide here, Aniket. Yeah. So as we said, now again, the last experience for us has been that a lot of people are definitely busy. There is a day job which you need to take care of. So the capstone project will be optional, but something which is highly recommended. We will, group you into 3 to 4 members. We will overall have about 2 weeks time to build this project. Of course, if the teams feel that they need longer time, we will also give longer time for that. But the idea is that the how do you translate your learnings as part of the course that you can build into a production ready AI product. That's going to be the intent of the capstone project. And I will share the link for the course in the chat. But happy to see if there are any questions related to the course. You can continue to put it in the chat, but I think we can proceed on with the next topic, which is the most awaited topic of how does one handle the AIPM interview.
Sure, Maldi. Thank you. Yeah, so let's now move to part two, which is the AIPM interview deep dive. As I was mentioning earlier, that we have collated a couple of questions. These are actually real world interactions. We have took the data, the inputs from the PMs who are there in the industry, like what kind of question they ask, or what kind of question they are being asked when they give the interviews. And we'll go through them, a couple of them, and then let us know if you have any further questions, or you have faced any kind of question on the same. So happy to hear that experience as well. Okay, so so first let's start with the technical set of questions. Generic technical questions on the AI or Gen AI side. So again, we are focusing on AI here. Traditional ML part so far we are not covering in this setup, because that's something that I mean, it might be required, depends upon again role to role. But otherwise, if you see the latest trend in the market or the products that are being built, they are like, especially PMs are expected to know about Gen AI or starting their knowledge from Gen AI, but later on you build that knowledge as you grow in your career, right? So in terms of the technical depth, so there's a lot of discussions happen about the automation, right? So there could be questions. For example, one of the question was asked is like, what is the difference between a workflow automation, which is a traditional automation that we have been doing, or we have been using the tools that are there in the industry already, and Gen AI based automation, right? What do you understand between the two? And what do you think, why do we need a Gen AI automation for a particular scenario? So it could be a very contextual question. Let's say somebody's again, B2B SaaS company asking, and they are building some product which are Gen AI based. So that question can be upon you, right? Okay, why do you think that we need a Gen AI automation here? So just to again, I'll not provide the detailed answer here, because that's something we can discuss later. We don't have that much amount of time, but the idea is to give you an overview, like how to understand the question, and then how the best way we can answer the question, right? So think about a workflow automation. So we have been using tools that are there for automation, right? So traditional automation in terms of we have been using, let's say, Python. We have been uh, 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 building applications which are based on workflow automation, like step one, step two, step three, right? So it depends upon your environment in the company, programming language that you're using. Few things are being automated using SQL itself. You have Python and other languages which you're using to build these workflows and automating those workflows. Let's say, for example, a simple data analysis, always step one, step two, step three are fixed, right? So we call it EDA in data science. So EDA can be sometimes, very deterministic in terms of steps that we have to follow, right? Sales leads, right? Step one, step two, step three. So we can automate that up to a certain extent, right? So those are workflow automations where we are not using any intelligence, in the sense that, or I would say human intelligence. The AI or Gen AI part actually enables the human intelligence part here, right? For example, now if you are building a chatbot, that chatbot is, or let's say, for example, let's take the chatbot example later, but let's take an example of a simple Gen AI where you're summarizing the content, right? Let's take an example scenario of a customer experience chatbot, where sorry, customer experience CRM system, where a, a customer and agent are conversing or talking to each other, and now agents have to write a summary of the conversation for record keeping purpose. Now this summary earlier was generated by or written by the agent manually and then stored in a database. Now think about, like, LLMs can do that very easily, right? This meeting, let's say, is being recorded and AI is summarizing those meeting points and sharing that with us. So then now we don't have to do that. This is a Gen AI based automation, right? This cannot be done by a workflow or simple, like, deterministic steps automation, right? So in this case, you need to answer this question, like, why do we need Gen AI automation? So you need to understand, okay, what are the use cases where I need a human intelligence or I need a human involvement, and up to what extent I need that human involvement, and then up to what extent Gen AI can automate that. So that's how you should answer, and then go deeper in answering the question. Similarly, question number two could be, let's say, have you worked on any product with agentic AI implementation? The answer could be yes or no. Let's say if the answer is yes, tell me about your understanding of agentic AI and generative AI. Now, if we go a little deeper, right, there are few solutions or products which are the summarization example that I gave in question number one. That's a Gen AI based. Now, what is agentic AI then? Agentic AI meaning that here now the difference between Gen AI and agentic AI we need to understand, right? And it's been asked also, what are the main differences? In the generative AI, you are using AI, the model or the solution is still probabilistic in nature, right? You're using models to answer that. The summarization meaning that every time the summary can be different, right, of a conversation between agent and customer, and there could be a specific style of an agent to answer, to write the summary. That can also be incorporated, right? But here we don't need agentic AI, because agentic AI is something that you are completely removing the human from the, from this interaction, and a customer is actually interacting with a bot, right? It could be a, let's say, voice bot the customer is interacting with, and now whatever customer is discussing with this bot is automatically taking the actions. Let's say at step one, customer is asking, okay, my bill is due, I could not pay on time, there's a fine penalty, can you remove my penalty? Now agentic this agent has to take, which is the AI agent, has to take an action. It has to first listen, right, what customer is saying, and then, um, okay, there is a fine that has been charged, is the customer eligible to get the refund or get the reimbursement, whatever, right? So in that case, what will happen is agent has to take a call, right? No human involvement is there. The checking the eligibility, getting back to the customer, and telling the response that, okay, whether you are eligible for a refund or not, whether we can remove the fine or not, right? So here agentic AI is technically doing is automatically, there is a goal that the goal is given by the customer. Okay, there is a refund has to be initiated or the fine has to be removed. Agentic AI has to take an action based on the eligibility of the customer, whether the fine should be removed or not, penalty should be removed or not, without any human involvement. If the matter is more complex, there could be scenarios where the agentic AI will call a human in the loop, which is, let's say, sitting in the back end, right? Who must be managing maybe, multiple these agents. Like one agent is this, there could be some other agents also. Agentic AI also takes the call, okay, whether I should reach out to the human or not. Is this a situation where I should reach out to the human or not? Is the call that has to be taken by the agentic AI, right? Or agent. So, so in this scenario, what happened is all the decisions, there is a goal. Based on the goal, the routing that's happening, right? So based on the data that is being looked at, the agentic AI framework is automatically doing that without any human involvement. Or if there is a human involvement, it takes the call whether I need to call the human or not, right? So that's the difference between a Gen AI, or I would say that's the difference between a workflow automation, Gen AI automation, and agentic automation or agentic AI automation. So then this is how we need to share the examples or basically the differences. And then the second part of the question is, how do you identify whether to implement agentic AI and Gen AI? So once we understand the use cases, we can answer this question also, right? In this scenario, whether we need to implement the agentic AI or Gen AI. As a PM, we should know that how to identify that use case, and in this use case, whether agentic AI fits, Gen AI fits, or maybe a simple workflow automation can do the job. Okay, I'll go to the second section, which is, let's say, technical depth or architecture level question. Now, this could be it could be an assignment also during the interviews, right? They can give you a home assignment. You can come back with the solution. But the questions or the technical depth can be much deeper, right? So, for example, let's say um, we are asked that, okay, how would you build or design an IT services agent here, which will actually solve the problem of IT services customers. I mean, IT services agents. So, which means that there are a lot of workloads. These IT agents or services agents has to deal with whenever there is a some issues, or let's say if the organizations are large, they face a lot of inbound request of multiple issues in a particular day. So then what happens is that they are actually swamped with a lot of requests that keep coming on them. It could be basic requests to a more complex issues, challenges that users are facing. So they reach out to this IT services people, right? Now let's say you are building an agent again, or a tool again, which is automate the work of this IT services agent, human agents. um, the question is that, what will be your approach? How would you design this end-to-end product, right? So let's now here you need to start with, okay, what's your architecture? Like let's assume that you are building a chatbot only, right? Which is a chatbot which automates the um, basic task, let's say, simple ticket issues, ticket raising, to a more complex task. What will be your high level architecture, right? Is it a plain LLM based model versus, let's say, now there are different frameworks of LLM, so Gen AI, let's say, RAG based, right? So your IT database or HR database, how would you pull the information, the retrieval augmented generation system, and then LLMs, and then there is a UI, right? So what will be your architecture as a technical product manager? How will you answer this architecture level question? How would you maybe design this high level diagram also and showcase that? Now the questions can be more deeper, in the sense that, okay, what LLM will you use here? There are multiple LLMs, right? Which has a higher accuracy, lower accuracy, right? Some, as I was mentioning in the beginning, that few LLMs are actually now being, like, they created their own modes in terms of, like, few LLMs are good in coding versus few LLMs are good in generic answering queries. So then what LLMs will you use here? How would you evaluate these LLMs, right? How do you select an LLM in this case? What will be your criteria? Is it cost? Is it maybe the accuracy? Is it the integration, easiness? Let's say you are in AWS platform. AWS Bedrock doesn't offer OpenAI. It offers Claude. Will you use that or not, right? So there could be other challenges. What kind of uh, scenarios you will consider to select an LLM model? Okay, if this is agentic flows, are you building a single agent, or you are building a multi-agent framework? Now, what is a multi-agent framework? We'll discuss, we are actually discussing in much more detail in the course, so I'll not go deeper on that part. But if you have any question, happy to answer. How would you handle security and privacy? Which means that there could be sensitive employee data, right? You have information about employees, right, to some extent. And if not IT, then other use cases, there are a lot of sensitive information that you have access to. How would you mask this information? There are personal identifiable information. How would you handle that? right? There could be guardrails. What happens if the model is not picking up the right issue? Let's say it's hallucinating. You are asking X, it's answering Y, right? So how do you handle that in your model? And especially the two main question that can come is one, how would you design this evaluation framework, right? Which means that let's say you build the product, or you are build the product end to end, and now you're in the testing phase. How will you test the product? What will be your evaluation criteria? And if there is an evaluation that is not meeting your criteria, then how would you improve it, right? And uh, the improvement can be, let's say, short term versus long term again. So what's your short term improvement plans versus long term improvement plan? Similarly, right, how would you measure the ROI? How would you sell this product to the business, right? Because business actually, what they want to look at is whether, if I'm investing something, because there will be an investment, there'll be a cost to it, you will have to pay for the AI models and all. So then what will be the ROI, right? How would you calculate the ROI first of all, and then show it to the business, right? So this level of details can be asked if the interviews goes more technical, especially for technical product managers, and you are expected to answer in a more structured way, right? So um, and then if I move to the next set of questions, and this is one of the, let's say, evaluation questions, answer, like if you're building a, let's say, a chatbot in general, again, this could change as per the context. Let's say you're building something on the IT side versus HR side versus, let's say, some other customer experience measurement side. This could change, but high level, if you're building a Gen AI chatbot, Gen AI chatbot has multiple parts. There is a business part, which is the business impact, the ROI that we discussed. There could be user engagement, churn rates, customer satisfaction. There could be a task effectiveness with the chatbots that you have built, whether it's actually effectively doing the task or not. There could be a conversation quality, right? Whether the chatbot is answering properly, in terms of responses, right? Incomplete responses, abusive words, etc. All those things. Safety and compliance part, and then user experience part, which is relevancy, the speed of the response, right? It should not happen that your chatbot is answering after 30-40 seconds. Nobody will wait that much amount of time, right? So we'll discuss more in the course, of course, like how do you actually set up the evaluation criteria of a chatbot. In the capstone project, you would be end up doing this evaluation, like, as well, post launching, let's say, the application that we're going to build. And um, 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 and this will help you in answering the questions, also interview questions as well, on the chatbot side or Gen AI product side. Similarly, by
Aniket,
yeah.
Aniket, can we take one question?
Yes.
I think it's a very relevant one. So Sai is asking how to decide when do we use commercial LLMs over self-hosted LLMs or
Yeah.
the other way around? And how do you convince your business to go for a self-hosted LLM when required?
Yeah. So self-hosted LLM basically meaning that you are actually doing an on-prem implementation of LLMs, right? So now this can happen based on your business requirements. Sometimes, you have sensitive data, especially, for example, let's say you have, banking and financial services, or let's say healthcare data, right? So in those cases, there is an information that we cannot send to this, especially proprietary models, right? Like when I say proprietary models are OpenAI or, let's say, Claude models, because what they are providing us the API, we send the data in a request form and we get the response from them. Of course, they are accurate, like in terms of, if we compare them relatively, they're more accurate than other models. Versus if you look at the self-hosted ones, there are models, let's say from Meta, we have these Llama models. We have DeepSeek also as an open source, or open weights model, we can say. These models are available for you to deploy in your environment, right? So let's say you have a virtual environment, virtual private cloud from AWS. You can deploy these models. These models are also available as an API on AWS, let's say Bedrock platform. GCP also provides that. So the idea is that it depends upon, like, up to what level of data you can share with these proprietary versus non-proprietary models. If there is a sensitivity there, which means that we cannot share the data at any cost, in those cases we generally try to move to self-hosted solutions or on-prem solutions, right? Because we cannot share the data, right? So otherwise, if we can share, then we go to proprietary model. So that's the first use case where we choose between, let's say, on-prem versus cloud or proprietary models. And otherwise, the other use case could be that you are a vertical, very you're a vertical startup. Let's say you're solving some case in the legal world, right? So if you look at now Gen AI, the models, the LLMs, the way they are trained, most of the data, most of the models are trained on generic, answer, the business answers, the, or we can say consulting side, as well as the second highest is the coding part. Legal is actually mostly towards the end. So these models are actually pre-trained on overall like open web data, right? Open or closed web, both data. So legal use cases, if you look at the answers are not that good in terms of standards of legal terminology or something, right? So which means that now in this scenario, what you have to do is you cannot rely on these models, because these models are not trained well on the legal data. So their answers are not up to the mark, and there can be hallucinations as well. So in this case, what might happen is that you might take a call. Okay, as a startup, now we need to invest more money in building the AI models, which means building your own LLM models. So then what you need is it's a huge investment, right? So in the sense that you need to first acquire the legal data which you want to be trained on, the model to be trained on, which is your, let's say, company data, right? You have, let's say, 5 6 years of data, enough data that is there, use cases are there. You train a LLM model there. So basically you need to have a research team who will train your own proprietary LLM, right? Company ABC LLM, and then that you host automatically in your environment, right? So which means that's your own LLM, and you can train it. It becomes a, you can self host it, or you can use the cloud framework. But in this case, so if you need a very like vertical solution, which currently generally like currently available LLMs cannot answer, it could be a second scenario. But both are business side use cases. It depends upon what exactly your requirement is, and accordingly take a call about the LLMs. I hope that answers the question, Malti. Was there a second part of the question?
No, there's no second part. There's a few more questions, but I think let's finish what we have in the slides and we can probably take some more questions towards
Yeah.
the end of the
So
session.
yeah. So again, and now I'll not go to the due to the time. I think I should not go detail to the every part of the question. But you can see here like a couple of more questions. So one, a product sense question or product design question is, let's say you're designing a next generation TV app, right? Let's say Sony TV. Sony TV has an app, and they ask you to embed AI in that, right? So what AI capabilities do you think would you be able to add? There's a product sense question, product design question. There could be a lot of assumptions, but basically what you need as a skill is that you need to understand like how does AI work in the product, right? Or especially how the AI will make an impact to the user experience. Ideally it should improve the user experience, right? So then how does that AI will improve the user experience, will embed in the technology, like, and then end to end product design is something that you need to think through. And for that we need to have the knowledge of AI, right? We need to have the knowledge of Gen AI, like how does these LLMs work, so and so. Okay. And the final question is, let's say post launch, right? Let's say now you've launched the product. There could be a use case that you have built a voice agent, bot, and after 3 months you find that okay, the adoption is low, right? It's more like a root cause, you can say, analysis question. You have access to the logs or the conversations that have happened, the recordings of the conversations, the users metric also, and then employee survey feedback as well. Like customers have provided you the feedback, or customers who are talking to your bot, they've given you some feedback, you've collected that. Now how would you diagnose the problem, and then what steps would you take to improve the adoption of the product, right? So again, if we go deeper, there could be some external factors, right? Could be, let's say, some UI UX issues, like there is a latency, there is a delay when you open the application, right? So there's an onboarding friction, discoverability part, confusing flows are there. To talk to the, let's say, the voice bot, you have to take 3 steps or 4 steps, right? It doesn't solve the problem. Maybe accessibility, as I was mentioning, right? It could be accent and language support. You are speaking English, but your accent is different. Sometimes it's not able to catch it properly. Clarity of voice, there could be a noise in the background, right? So how do you remove that? How does your, let's say, the audio to speech recognition ASR model works in the back end, right? There could be some integration gaps also, right? Internal factors as well. Let's say a response quality, hallucinations, right? So now this is very important. You're real time responding to the user, right? Voice bot is basically real time conversation, right? What if there is a hallucination? How do you route back, right, to the correct response, right? Incorrect information if you provide, incomplete answers do you provide, right? uh, Tone and modulation is also very important, right? Is your tone very robotic? Ideally, customers should not feel that they're talking to a bot, right? If they every time you make them feel that you're talking to a bot, they can get irritated, and then conversation will go anywhere. There could be monotonicity, cultural insensitivity. It can also be there. Answer relevancy, local issues, right? So especially these LMs are trained mostly to answer questions in English, right? To convert this into a different language, they have to use other tools, which are language translators, and they might not work well in the time, respond, wrong words, wrong tone. All those things can happen, right? If it's, let's say, your RAG based and also, then RAG has a special evaluation criteria, separate evaluation criteria to the question. So like that, there could be some internal factors, and there could be many other factors. As a PM, now your answer should be like structured in, let's say, there are, in this way, that there could be external factors and there could be internal factors. You will diagnose or you will evaluate all of them, and then suggest some improvements in the product, right? So that's how you should answer the root cause or analytical thinking question. Again, this might not be comprehensive, there could be few more parts there, but basically the idea is that you should look at that. There could be application, let's say mobile versus web, so on and so forth. All these things can be there. So this is how we should answer the root cause analytical thinking questions as well as product sense questions. And there could be some strategy level questions, right? High level, right? How would you, let's say, change your product roadmap, right? Currently, you're using maybe GPT-5, which is the most like latest model from OpenAI. Tomorrow, let's say GPT-6 comes, or when do you think that you should use reasoning model versus non-reasoning models, right? Could be questions or on the prompt engineering side, like what do you think about building a product engineering prompt engineering capabilities, right? Do you think product managers need prompt engineering, so on and so forth, right? um, 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 there could be questions specific to Microsoft, like how do you often how do you know how often you should retrain your model, right? This is relevant to the especially product managers who are training their own a large language model, the example in the legal scenario we took. So in this case, this question will be more important, right? When do you retrain? How do you update your model? How do you keep up with the existing model, so on and so forth? What's your long term versus short term strategy? All these are additional questions that are expected from PMs, for us to answer. With that, I think, yeah, I am done with the part two as well. Malti, you want to talk about this FAQs, or we can take the questions directly?
Yeah, no, I think I just want to say that many of our, in fact, previous participants have leverage reimbursement and stuff from their organizations. So you can also continue to do that. And there is this whole FAQ section which we have on the website, the links for which I have already shared. That that is available. And yeah, I mean, basically, what you saw was that there is a the same sections where you have root cause analysis, product thinking, product design, how the context and nuances are changing for a AIPM product manager. And maybe now we can take, if there are more questions related to the course, related to the topic today, please continue to put in. We can take one question which Surabhi has. I can probably answer that, and Aniket and Swati, feel free to add to it. So she's asking that how do you do the cost benefit analysis for a production use case? Can you share some pointers, right? So see, the way the product development lifecycle is for an AI product is fairly different from a non AI product or a traditional product, right? So when you're thinking about the cost, then I mean there are the regular fixed and variable cost from an infra perspective. But I think one of the biggest changes that you have is, for example, data. You really need to look at what is the kind of data that you have. So there is a if you know the cycle, then there is a training part of it. There is a pre-training part of it. There is a training part of it. Then there is a testing part of it, where then there is a validation part of it, right? And typically we try to have different data sets for each one of them so that the model is constantly exposed to that. So you need to think more from a model perspective. You need to think about it from an infra perspective. You need to think about from a data set perspective. One of the most important thing that we have is the compute power of it, especially hosted, self-hosted versus on the these things. Tokenization, for example, I remember when we were building one of the products with one of the startups, we saw that the cost per token per transaction, that so there was a transaction that was supposed to happen, and the number of tokens that were exchanged initially was like too super high. And then we were constantly iterating, and we decided, for certain kind of queries we will probably go to a which did not require a lot of complex prompts, we will go to one model, versus for a more complex kind of prompt we will go to another model. So that way what we started to do was that we started to do optimizations, right? So you need to think through what is the use case in terms of that, what is the talent pool that you need, how do you kind of maintain that. So that is one part of it. The other part that you need to think from a benefit is that, please understand, you probably don't need to drive a Ferrari for going grocery shopping, right? So you need to be very mindful of, do you really need machine learning? Do you really need AI for this kind of a use case? And what is the kind of ROI that you're looking at? So typically, if you are looking at building revenue, improving customer experience, your ROI expectation should be like 5x, 3x, 5x, 10x for putting an AI project, right? So when you're thinking from an ROI perspective, please remember, you do not start looking at benefits from 3 months or maybe even 6 months. Typically, especially if you think about complex use cases like fraud detection, anomaly detection, cancer detection, these are long drawn projects. And we have seen, I don't know how many of you have seen that MIT actually said that only 5% of the Gen AI implementations that a lot of companies have done have seen success. 95% of them are still figuring out what is ROI even mean for them, right? Because the outcome, the output metrics that we have for our AI projects are very different. So we also actually talk about some frameworks in terms of how do you do this cost benefit analysis. But there are a lot of variants to do that, where we go through multiple layers of what is the cost benefit analysis. Aniket, Swati, in case you want to add something more. Okay, any other questions? Would be happy to take that. Let us know if you found this conversation helpful. Would be lovely to see some comments on the chat. For the folks who are around, thank you for staying back for the complete hour.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, or Surbi, you have any follow-up questions you can ask?
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hima. Surbi, and thank you, Shruti.
So we want to keep the course also in the same way. It's more practical uh, and I think tied to the real world use cases.
Yep. And that is, as I said, there are, how are we, I know we all are bombarded with tons of AI PM courses, right? But the idea that, one of the things which I really want to say is that, first of all, the combination of skills that each one of us comes is very diverse. So that way, it's a very holistic viewpoint that we bring in. And I also see some of our previous cohort members here today. So the idea here is that we've been constantly iterating in every batch or cohort that we did, right? So the first cohort which we did back in April, May, then we did our second cohort in June, July. And now that we are doing this cohort, we have been constantly improvising almost, I would say, 15-20% of new content, new ways of doing things, because this whole space is evolving so fast.
Yeah.
All right. If we did not have any other questions, then thank you guys. Have a good weekend. And you know where to find us in case you have any questions. I've shared the link again with all of you. So let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Pramod.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Malti and Aniket.